Now this one is interesting. Yeah, a bit closer, just not quite there. But this one, I noticed two things. First, you have a lot of steering,
Yeah.
and this is a case in which I think you're trying to get the car turned a bit too much, and then you put a lot of steering into it to get it turned.
Right.
So that's one thing. I think, yeah, you could turn in a bit earlier there and a bit less steering input. But what is more important is that after the corner, okay, you missed the apex by a little bit, not a big deal, but you put throttle down and you
Mhm.
keep the steering, and your steering angle is the same, and it's still the same, and then you put a little bit more, and it's still the same, and you're exiting the corner, so you should be straightening out your line in the car, you're in full
Right. Now,
throttle, but you have full lock.
yeah, and I'm pointing pretty. I'm not pointing towards the exit. I'm still trying to get the car turned.
Yeah, but it's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's indeed it's pointing that way, but the more steering you put at this point, the less it's gonna turn because you're past the sleep angle of the car.
Right.
So when you understeer like this, I mean, the corner itself you already put a bit too much steering. But when you notice, oh my god, it's understeering, it's not turning, you need to turn the wheel less. You need to ease the steering wheel to
That's
get
gonna
the
be a hard
front.
one to remember.
Yeah, to get the front to bite again. Um,
That makes sense because yeah, once you've lost the tires, you have to regain them. You can't
yeah,
keep pushing.
you probably it's not this one. You probably saw this graph already with the sleep angle and the forces.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what you want is of course to drive in the max. Most
Hmm.
people will most of the time drive somewhere around there. But once you turn too much and you are around here, what you need to do to regain the car and the grip is ease and get back there. But instead, what you did is you put more steering, so you have even less grip.
Right.
You
All
didn't
right.
do it a lot. Some people will crank the wheel there and try to get it turned as much as they can, and they
Hmm.
only lose more and more grip, and put temperature on the tires and yada yada. And you actually do this quite often. Like I said, at Brands you're doing it a lot.
Okay.
Here at Watkins it didn't happen as much. And another thing that happens here is that okay, you're turning. Let's say you're here, right, trying to get the car
Hmm.
turned, it won't turn, etc. And then you're approaching the exit of the corner, so you start unwinding the wheel because there's a straight coming. As
Right.
you unwind the wheel, you get more and more grip to the front. At the same time, you have a lot of throttle. So what's going to happen if you have a lot of grip on the front and a lot of throttle?
Rear end's just gonna come around.
Exactly, snap oversteer.
Yeah.
So this is usually where snap oversteer comes from. Uh,
Huh.
too much,
That's
yeah,
that's awesome to know. I just like whenever it happens, it was like, oh, I got snap oversteer. I've got to like take some bump out of the rear. Like obviously it's the setup. It's not me. I'm perfect.
yeah. No, this is where snap oversteer comes from. It's when you put too much steering input, and then you are at this region, and then the car
Hmm.
is balanced. It's sort of alright going around the corner, and then you start to unwind the wheel, and all of a sudden the front bites even more. And at the same time, you ask more of the rears because you're putting the throttle down, and round you go all at
That makes
once.
a lot of sense. I never really thought about it like that. Like seeing all of this, it makes a lot more sense. I don't think enough at the tire and the what's working on the car level. I just have, some minor mechanical intuition. I'm like, this is probably how it works. So knowing and seeing all of this, it's very helpful. I'll try and remember it as I'm turning laps. I think that's going to be the hard part.
Yeah, and it's cool because there is one, how do I say that? One vice, can I call it that? That you got,
Hmm.
um, that is probably costing you time, but is also causing you to be unstable more than you'd like. So I've seen in your videos and the brands I had seen you doing this and getting loose on exit, and then you need to let go of the throttle to collect the car again once you're back here, and it
Hmm.
gets all a bit messy. But also, you get to a point in subconsciously what you do is you are here, and the
Uh-huh.
car won't turn, and you think it's understeering. It is, but because you have the steering wheel cranked, and then you go from here to there at once,
Yeah.
right? You don't unwind your steering wheel smoothly. So you go from here to there all at once.
Yeah. I am very twitchy with my steering wheel, and that's something I need to work on. I'm hoping that oval racing is going to help teach me that a
Yeah,
bit, because you have to be smooth there.
yeah.
But
Yeah, what you're doing is, so you're avoiding, that's your way to avoid the snap oversteer. You come from here to all the way there, and
mhm,
then you're safe. The car is not going to come around, which is, I mean, it does avoid the snap oversteer, but it also, you're giving away all this juicy grip around the corner.
right.
And we
And so
can,
I'm losing a lot of time through that.
yeah, no doubt. And I mean, overheating the fronts and scrubbing the fronts, just wearing them out and all that. And we can see that here, like you have a lot of steering. Oh, slow down a bit too much. You have a lot of steering, a lot of steering, a lot of steering. The car won't turn, the car won't turn, and all of a sudden, straighten up,
Hmm.
all at once. So yeah, you gave up all the grip you could have at this part at the corner exit. You gave
Hmm.
up either because you're turning the steering wheel too much, and then all of a sudden you straighten it up, and then you're turning too little, uh, and you have it straight already.
Interesting.
Uh, which is the next corner here. See how much steering more you put there?
Yeah, ton.
Um, so yeah, our braking, we brake at the same point. We slow down, we turn in, but then once you turn in, a lot of steering. So
Yeah.
that's certainly gonna make you feel like you're understeering, because you are. But then you put more steering, and then you put the throttle, but you keep the steering. And at this point, I'm unwinding, and my throttle stands in, but you need to let yours go because of course you're loose.
Right.
And then here,
And I'm
just at
still
once,
turning a ton.
yeah. And then all at once you bring the steering wheel back to a reasonable amount.
Alright.
All at once.
Yeah. It's crazy to just have this data of like the things
Yeah.
that I'm doing.
So this is another thing that, well, try to, of course, turn the steering wheel as little as possible, always.
Hmm.
It's one recipe for speed. And another thing, just slow down. That's how I find, at least not to turn the wheel way too much. Because once you slow down a little bit, you can't really put too much steering, because if you do, the car will actually corner, right?
Right.
So if you need, let's say I actually turn the steering wheel right, which is doubtful, but let's say we need 75 degrees steering wheel angle there.
Uh-huh.
If you're going a bit slower and you are still within the grip limit, you're going to turn 75 degrees. And if you turn more, the car will just go towards the inside barrier. So if you do
Right.
2 or 3 laps, just a little bit slower, you're going to get that muscle memory to turn the steering wheel just as much as you need,
Okay.
and not more. And then once it's in your muscle memory, then you start gaining, going a little bit faster at a time, but you know you shouldn't turn more than you were turning before. That will leave you more or less in the ballpark.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I'll try and do the slow laps before I set out to do fast laps, because I always, like, whenever I get started, like straight out of the pits, I'm full throttle pushing as hard as I can.
Yeah, and then you might end up missing in some of these things.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions here?
Nope. Again, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool. Now,
Similar results, different inputs.
yeah. And then we get to this braking zone. Again, 180 degrees corner, very long corner, fairly slow. I think might be the slowest on the track.
Hmm.
Braking zone, you could brake straight and then cut back in, or you could brake towards the apex. And you chose number one.
Yeah.
You see that distance.
Every time. That's what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
And this is also big, and this will be type bombed.
Hmm.
Because it's just faster to brake this way.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense. You can just carry so much more speed, as you said, 3 times now.
yeah.
And if
It's the
yeah.
same thing. It's just a
Yeah.
mentality, a technique that you need to get
Yeah.
for some types of corners. Again, if this was a 90-degree corner, I wouldn't do
Mhm.
that. I would focus on carrying speed instead, and then trying to get as early as possible on the throttle. Whereas here, it doesn't matter, because you spend so much time coasting anyway, that it really doesn't matter.
That makes sense.
To go all the way out there, to come back in, you just lose a lot of time. I think you might, again, get on the throttle earlier. Oh, you actually have a bit of maintenance throttle here, I think. Is it this one? No, it's this one. Make it a little bit smaller. It's this one. So yeah, this is... You brake there, I brake quite a bit later. The difference in speed on the entry, look at this. It's huge.
Yeah, that's...
And then you get on the throttle there, which is good. Although I would suppose a bit of maintenance throttle would be less.
Right. Whereas I'm almost up to 75% throttle there.
I have the impression, like on very long corners, I'm trying to be conscious not to give too much information in 1 hour either, but...
Right, yeah, that makes sense. I can't go in with like 20 things to fix, right?
Yeah.
So this is very good.
Yeah. In a very long corner, there's one thing that you can put the throttle to try to accelerate out of it, or you can put just a little bit of throttle just so you don't slow down more. You know what I mean? So imagine you were doing a 360 like in the centripetal circuit. You have that just enough throttle to keep you going at the same speed around the corner, because the corner is so long, it never ends.
Right.
So this one is pretty long as well. It takes a while to get around it. So it's not one of those corners in which you are slowing down, and immediately you are accelerating after the apex. What happens is you slow down, you get into the speed you need to do the corner, you need to stay at that speed a little bit, and then you start gaining speed again.
Okay. Whereas I'm getting on the throttle super early. Like, tell me if I'm right here. So I'm getting on the throttle super early, and then I have to keep cutting it because I'm giving it too much throttle too early through the corner. Whereas you're getting on the throttle, kind of, there's a little bump for, like you said, the maintenance speed, and then slowly accelerating out. So you're carrying that speed through the corner.
Yeah. And again, you gain a little bit of time over me there. But it's just, it doesn't compensate for the different line, how much
for the
you
loss,
lost at the entry. I mean, we exit at the same speed. So if you look at the exit speed, from here on, we have the same.
Right, but you've already gained so much over me through the braking that even exiting at the same speed isn't really going to help me in a race.
1.6, yeah, it's 3.5 tenths on the braking, and altogether 2.5.
Yeah, so that's a huge amount of time.
And again, look at the steering angle right after the braking. I've done my initial quartering here on the braking already. When you're going straight, I have 13 degrees.
Yeah,
0,
so
I'm going towards the apex with the braking, and then brake somewhat in a straight line, but then you need to put a lot of steering after your braking, because you need to...
I've got to make that corner, and you're more to the inside, and I've got to make that sharper turn just to hit my apex.
Yeah. Which gives us an interesting topic, which is where you look at when you're driving. And throughout this whole point, I mean, once you're getting close to the braking zone, once you're even before, like around here, you should be looking at your apex. Right? You look where you want to go, not where you're going. So from here, you're looking there. And this is where you want to go, not there.
Right, and I'm literally always looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
Like maybe at that TV stand or tower or whatever is there, but I'm never quite looking at the apex.
Yeah, no, always look ahead.
Alright,
And what you need to get used to, I mean, some people even advocate, well, forget braking markers, what you need to do is look at the apex. Well, don't forget them. What you do is use peripheral vision. So your vision is there, but you use peripheral vision to brake. My marker is here, almost at this. There's this one blotch here, that one blotch there. I try to brake at that blotch. I always mess it up, but it's somewhere in between. It's more or less here.
I always try and brake just at the end of the first blotch.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You notice that it will get better once. Yeah, from here, what you want to do, you're looking there. You want to go there. So here, when you straighten up your wheel, it should be going there.
As opposed to I'm just braking straight because I'm trying to slow down in a straight line and then turn it in, and that's not good.
Yeah, you're still going straight. You're still going straight. and then here you let go of but see, the corner is there.
Mm-hmm. And I've already lost it on screen on the one screen, right? I can see it on my left screen, but I should have the car pointed
Yeah,
more towards it. Whereas, I mean, I'm obviously steering in, but much more than you are,
yeah.
and much later than you
I
are. You're already
think
turning in.
about twice as much. Yeah.
Yeah,
If we look here, 3971. Yeah, pretty
yeah,
much
that's
twice as much. Um, yeah, needless to say, a lot.
yeah.
A lot. Then you do come back. You almost apex, I think. Almost. So this is the closest. This is almost fine. But yeah, of course, a little bit more better. And then you start to unwind, get a bit loose. It's a bit normal to because of the crest here getting together with
Yeah.
the two tracks, but it's the way it is. So yeah, anyway, same theme of the braking. Once you get that right, in this track it's interesting because it makes a lot of difference, but you know, the same theme we repeat in any track. Brent's Hatch, I would have told you the same thing to the Druid's
Right.
hairpin. It's the same kind of corner. If you go out there on the left to then make it around the hairpin turn 2, you lose a lot of time. What you want to do is brake diagonally towards the apex and then just save a lot of ground. You can travel
That makes
fast.
sense, and that's what I do at Brands. I mean, that's what I'm sure you would have told me as I'm doing the same sort of thing. So this is really good. I'm really gonna try and I'm gonna take all of this and put in a ton of practice laps. So just to make sure I've got it all down, I'm braking in a straight line, and then I'm turning in too hard to try and make that speed up. Whereas I could be braking more towards the apex, angling in better, so I have less steering angle when I do need to apex, and then I can throttle out more smoothly because I'm making that curve look a little better. And this is on the slower and longer corners.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, long corners, hairpins, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think Druids turn 2 at Mid Ohio, you know,
Mhm.
that kind of corner.
Okay. And I mean, Watkins has a ton of those, so that's
Yeah.
obviously where we're seeing most of that here. And then the oversteering, I need to think more about my slip angle on the tires and if I'm abusing them too much to lessen the steering angle, which is going to be tough for me, but
Yeah.
lessen the steering angle to get through that.
Yeah, and yeah, you need to turn the wheel always as little as possible.
Hmm.
So again, I told you one way to try to gauge that, just go a bit slower. Another way to try to gauge that is turn the steering wheel less every lap. So every
Hmm.
single lap, you keep lapping, don't hot lap or anything, but you know, keep a reasonable pace. Um, and then every time you go into a corner, you try to turn the steering wheel less.
Okay.
And you will notice, if you were putting too much steering before, you will notice that, okay, this time I'm turning a little bit less and I have more grip. And you notice that. And then, you
All
know,
right.
you keep turning the wheel less and less until at some lap you turn there and says, okay, now it's not turning as much anymore. So that's your sweet spot.
All right. I will work on that and then start focusing on, well, I guess while I'm doing that, I can focus on the braking entry and adjusting my line and trying to hit those apexes better, at least getting closer. Because being slow, it'll be easier, like you said, to
Yeah,
tell, and
yeah,
I'll know.
yeah. That's what I'd recommend. You know, just slow down, do a few laps, not one or two, a
Hmm.
few laps, 5, 10 laps at least, slower. But paying attention to this line and trying to do this well. Hit your apex, don't turn the steering wheel too much, and do these in those corners, the braking zone straight towards the apex, or much more straight towards the apex,
All
instead
right,
of going all the way down and cutting in.
I will definitely do that as a way to practice all of this.
And then yeah, these are just details. Again, miss the apex a little bit, but the rest is not too
Mhm.
bad. In here, more or less the same. Don't miss by a lot, but a little bit. Again, these corners are even more important than usual because they're cambered. So you want
Yeah.
to use that juicy camber. But the exit there is good. Use
All
off
right.
track and all that jazz. So
Awesome.
yeah, these are
Awesome.
the main points, I would say.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I've got a bit to work on here. I've got a way to go about working on this. Like, you could have just told me, here's what you're doing wrong, but you've given me, the way to practice to make this better. So I'm gonna go work on that. I got the day off, so I'm gonna go golf, but I've also got a ton of laps I'm gonna be able to turn. So thank you so much
Yeah, cool, not a problem.
for being able to point all this out and helping me get
Um,
faster. So
and as well, I mean, if after you do some laps you get a different result or whatever, it doesn't matter if it's better or worse. I hope it's a little bit better. It's not uncommon to lose a little bit of time at first when you're trying to adjust things out.
oh,
But at the end, just send me the telemetry again, and then I can compare. We don't need to call again. We can text and see a couple of things. But
all
even
right,
for you,
excellent.
of course, to look if you use Atlas, just look one against the other and see what differences are happening. But
Right.
if you send it to me, I'll have a look and then
All
take
right,
a
I'll
look.
definitely send that to you once I've. I mean, I'm gonna put a few more hours in of practice, and then I'll try and turn a nice lap to send to you. So
Yep.
I hope that I see improvement, but I guess I'll try and keep that in mind that if I don't, I'm trying to work on new things. So it's not like you said, it's not uncommon to. It's I'm trying to change what comes naturally to me because that's how I race right now, right? Just what has become natural over the years of racing, and I'm trying to do now what's right and not necessarily what I think is right and comes naturally.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, man.
Not a problem.
Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Have a good rest of your day, and I'll hopefully tonight send you the best lap you've ever seen. I'm gonna
Alright.
go for pro tomorrow. This is my
Yeah.
all right. Maybe I won't be in last place the next race I record. That's my goal.
Always a good goal to have.
Yeah. All right. Again, thanks, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Catch you later.
Have a good one. Bye.